and Logan Spar. Each of them respectively came from Kingsley PD and Remsen PD, which helped us significantly as far as training and getting back to full manpower. Page 3, kind of my highlights that I highlighted are that our officers work approximately 2,500 shifts a year, covered by 15 officers. On average, we travel the city streets about 150,000 miles a year, or 410 miles a day. When I ask for a squad car once a year, that's typically why our oldest car in fleet is nearing that 150,000 mile mark. 2021 is the third year of our school resource program. This continues to be a great asset, I believe, to our schools, community, and police department. And I have secured funding for an additional 3 years for that program.
What is that, a 50-50 or a third?
Right now it's about a 45, 55,
Okay.
but it's pretty close to 50-50.
That's cool.
And so we're very happy we secured 3 more years of funding for that.
And it's well received by the schools.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, is that all 3 grade schools, and then the middle and high school, and then Galen? How
Every school in Lamar is the 3 grade schools,
Okay.
Galen, and the high school. The SRO has the actual office in the high school,
okay.
and he has a kind of a temporary seating assignment at Galen. There are some days that he spends a lot of time at the high school, and some days he'll spend a majority of time at a particular elementary school. It's kind of what's going on during the day or that particular week. Officers spend roughly 100 hours a year in training. We're really looking forward to our new classroom at once phase 2 is complete. We've actually already got one training booked for late 2022 in our new classroom, so we're really looking forward to it.
How late?
October. I think we'll be safe.
How many communities are you got? So many communities sign up for that, or?
What we have coming in is probably a crime scene school. It'll be open to Sioux City Metro, statewide, South Dakota. I mean, it'll be opened up quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. In 2021, we started a joint crime scene with the Plymouth County Sheriff's Office. What that means for our agency is we assign 3 officers to this team, they assign 3, and if there's a major crime scene somewhere, it's just a larger pool of individuals they can work with. We already do this with our major accidents and our tactical team, and we wanted to expand on that, and it's been working out extremely well. We mentioned phase 2. It's on target for a completion hopefully in late summer. RegBri, we hosted an additional 20,000 visitors, and we did hire an additional 10 officers for that event. On to budget, grants, and funding. Just a couple notations here. United Way pays for basically all of our junior academies. Our K-9 funding this year, we had donations pushing $20,000. I'd really like to thank the entire community for giving towards that program. We kicked back $10,000 of that to help purchase the K-9 patrol vehicle and to outfit that patrol vehicle. We received a Stryker Corporation DFib grant of $15,000, and that outfitted 8 new defibrillators in our patrol vehicles. On a kind of a statistical review, our total calls for service were on page 4. Our officer activity for 2021 was 18,211. That includes everything that we do. Our complaints that we investigated was 1,134, roughly 2,800 citations or warnings, and 73% of all traffic stops result in a warning. Parking tickets are down. We've had a mild winter, and they're about half of what they were the previous year. Community policing contacts, which we began in 2017. We had roughly 2,800 last year. And out of all of our activity, our community policing contacts is about 15% of our entire activity for the department. We've had our 4th annual Shop with a Cop. We've had tremendous support for this, funding for this. This is 100% funded through donations, and last year we took 20 kids shopping. We had a phone call this week from an individual that wanted to double that for next year. So the community support for this has been fantastic. Our academies, we graduated 12 adults at our Citizens Academy and 12 high school kids at our Youth Academy. Officers do weekly chamber visits when we have chamber coffees. One thing I'll point out that probably not a lot of the public knows is our bike patrol. Late at night, we have officers out there on the trail. Sometimes we patrol it with our side-by-side. The bike patrol was tremendously effective during RegBri. Just getting officers around and about in the community, and it really worked out well. And at our active shooter training, we offer this to any business free of charge. And we teach active shooter training at every grade level in the schools. And that is primarily through our school resource officer. Page 5 is the training. I listed 33 topics here. Many of them are mandated by the state, federal government. I think that we go above and beyond what we are mandated to do. Each month, an officer is given a new learning assignment. So that kind of lists the training that we go through in a year's time. On to page 6. So what my goals are for 2022 is I would like to present another 3 to 5 year plan for the department and give that to City Council, kind of explaining what I think we are going to need on an operational side and a manpower side. Along with that, I'd like to apply for a federal grant for additional funding, and that would be kind of tied to the 3 to 5 year plan. I'd like to look for some grants to replace our portable radios. And I'd like to reduce our accidents by strategic patrol tactics and community awareness, and increase our business and residential area patrols. Lastly, I have in that is expand our SRO program. What our intent to do next year is to partner with Western Iowa Tech, and 3 of our officers are actually going to be teaching online, or not online, credit courses at the high school in criminal justice. And we've had 30 kids sign up for that already. So we're pretty excited about starting that next year. On the complaints and incidents on page 6, things that I noted is that our burglaries are slightly up. Our drugs and alcohol are slightly down. Thefts and Lamars are down 30%. However, assaults are up about 30%. And we've had no homicide in Lamars in the past 5 years. So our complaints and incidents are the ones that take a lot of time. They're the ones that we investigate. I estimate that we spend roughly 3,000 to 5,000 hours a year investigating these 1,134 complaints. A complaint can take an hour, or it could take 50 to 100 hours, depending on what type of complaint it is. On to page 7, you will notice a decrease primarily since 2019 in total department activity. I can contribute that to a couple things. We're still coming off of post-COVID, and in 2021 we simply weren't fully staffed. So numbers are down from what they were a couple of years ago. But if you look back at what they were maybe a decade ago, or even back to 2017, I think they're consistently higher. Our accidents are pretty average. Actually, they're real average for a 5-year reporting. However, our personal injury accidents have increased in the last year. I mentioned this, our parking tickets are significantly down because of the mild winter. I think everybody's okay with that.
I'll be stopping down to pay my son's parking ticket.
You usually have 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
That's okay, I usually do.
Does he learn anything?
No.
Why not?
No, because I noticed, I should probably say this out loud, but he was actually I don't know if it was last night or the night before, and he was actually parked on the wrong side. It was last night. Because I noticed it this morning when I came to work, he was parked on the wrong side again. But no
Kevin, what's the
ticket.
statute of limitations on that?
It's got a 50-50 chance.
He's got a 50/50 chance to get it right.
Come on, Dad, don't you ever tell him anything?
No, you know what? He should be responsible, shouldn't he? Anyway,
Continuing on page 8, our arrests are pretty consistent through a 5-year average. They are a little bit down from last year. I can contribute that again to maybe, we spent about 5 months where we were not at full staff. And of course, we're still coming off post-COVID. Our calls for service, I'll mention animal control here. We had 185 animal complaints and 36 dog impounds. I would say that's pretty consistent with the previous year. One thing I will mention is we've had a 22% decrease in assisting fire rescue. It's not that we don't like them, we do like them, but the restructuring of the rescue service, we simply do not need to go on a lot of these calls. We still respond to the emergency ones, the code blues, CPRs, but I think we'll continue to see a decrease in the amount of time that we're spending on ambulance calls. Other decreases that I have noted are parking complaints, civil disputes, and some of our miscellaneous calls. And we've had an increase in motorist assists. We've had an increase in mental health and welfare checks over the past year, probably double from the previous year, and agency assists. And lastly, I just included a page of some pictures of our officers engaged in some of the community policing activities that we are involved in throughout the year.
Kevin, did you have a report on like how many additional contacts or citations were written during RAGBRAI? Was there anything like that? Or?
We had 0 arrests in RAGBRAI related to RAGBRAI. I would say our fire rescue was busier that day, obviously. We've had very little problems during RAGBRAI. I've already been reached out to by the Sergeant Bluff Chief of Police. He's coming down next week, and he's going to talk to me about some operations that we conducted here. But we had very little problems whatsoever.
That's what I figured.
Kevin, what's on the department activity, 2011 we had 7,000, in 2019 we had 25,000. What's the number one reason for all that? Is there a difference in counting? I hope.
There's a couple things that happened here. In 2017, I kind of demanded the personnel to be more effective in how we reported things.
Okay.
When we do something, it gets written down. So you'll see a big jump in 2017 when we started maybe reporting things a little bit differently. But if I would consistently go back 10 years, we used to be a population of 8,500. We're no longer a population of 8,500. We're just busier all the time. There used to be times where 2 officers working a day shift was sufficient. Sometimes if we have 4 now, it's not enough. It's just we are a busier community. I think Clark has mentioned before, during the day we swell to 13,000 to 14,000 people. And I just think that we're becoming busier and busier. But it's also because we're reporting things a little bit better,
Okay.
I believe.
Kevin, among your goals, reducing traffic accidents, what would be some examples of strategic patrol tactics?
Okay, well, first of all, the signs that we put out last year with the speed zones coming into town, I would think those are strategic. I mean, and that's the type of thing that I would also like to do is put officers out in areas that maybe have a higher accident rate, have them sit and do some stationary patrol, get the cars more visible in those particular locations. So we're going to look at where are the problem areas and putting officers in those problem areas is more frequently if we can.
more for Chief Benovic?
I say it every year, I like to see that traffic warning up in them 70s and.
We're a little down from last time. Last time we were 75%, this time we're 73, but
Yeah.
it's consistent.
A lot more tickets. No. But no, I like to see that. It
We
tells
do-
people we're not just out for,
We do not stop cars for revenue.
right, exactly.
We stop cars for compliance and to teach the public, if they're making a mistake, to teach them what's the right way to do it.
Have you seen any increase up there on K-49 and 12th? I mean, Pat Denny comes to mind and that whole, I mean, I think she has a legitimate complaint but are we seeing a reduction? We have
Yes.
put some new signs in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I know the guys are out there patrolling, they're seeing the speeds are much slower than they were a month ago. I think that was the right direction.
good, good.
Absolutely. I do.
And Knipe's got some electric ones coming, right? That's in the budget,
I believe he is.
I
For
believe.
K-49,
Just K-49, but okay, that's fine.
there was 2 spots we said okay to.
We had talked about K-49 and then I think 12th was mentioned
Because
in
you
mine.
wanted, Highway 3 was another spot he thought about up at ball fields.
I think he was talking also coming into town from the north on 75. We didn't think that was a good idea.
Oh, okay.
There was 2 spots, right? I thought,
For sure, 2
Well, at
signs
least you're
are
seeing an
wrong.
improvement, that's all, that's
I think so far.
good, good.
I think so.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, buddy.
Our finance director is absent today due to a funeral, so we'll continue the budget discussion maybe at the next meeting. So-
or is there,
Or is there anything
so everybody got new pages, right? That were sent out. So that reflects, if you look on that summary page, I don't know if anybody brought them today.
Yeah.
That new summary page, which is page 2, that reflects the changes from the budget workshop. Okay? So if you remember, we went from a 200 and something shortage to now we're 63 to the good. So I guess the only thing you could do, I mean, you could
Spend it on a
add, you could add stuff back in, but I don't know if I would do that.
Spend it on a bridge.
Nice to have, well, that'll be fixed before July 1, hopefully. That won't come on this one, but, so I don't know how much more discussion you want to do. I know I have heard from a couple department heads about, well, can we add back in whatever that was cut, but I don't know.
Grown-up sized waters, maybe?
Yeah, they did get smaller. That's why I had to get 2.
Huge savings.
Shorter meetings.
Yeah.
So far, no.
No, so I don't know if any of you council members have anything specific you want to bring up about the budget.
Well, I know that Mark Sturgeon originally said he wanted to see a food table back to every council meeting.
That was pretty nice the first time I was out there.
Yeah.
No, the only thing that I was gonna say, and I was just thinking about this yesterday, and dead serious, I'm just thinking about everything that's taken place up until July of this year, is past council. This represents, for the new people and for us, this represents our baby. So, it's a starting point. I think it's pretty good. I think we did a good job with it, myself. I personally feel really good about this year, so.
Okay, so if there's nothing else about the budget, we got a couple more meetings.
Council members have anything you want to discuss? Mike?
I do not.
Brian? Clark?
I do not.
No. Steve? Mark? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. What about me? I had something.
I
Dicko, you see. I don't get to vote anyway.